Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Style. So this is seed starting round 2 for the spring. So last time we did some of the stuff that needs to be started earlier, onions, peppers, tomatoes, plus some of the other flowering stuff. So if you missed that video, go back and check that one out. This one's going to focus on things that are roughly 6 to 8 weeks before last frost date that you start indoors. And then other things as well that we start indoors just because we're zone 4. So we have such a short growing season that I do like to try and start things indoors more. This year we've had a really mild winter. I don't know what that's going to make our summer look like. It'll be interesting. So I'm going to try and start as much seedling stuff as I can. And that way, hopefully, if it's nice, we'll throw them out early. If it's not nice, we'll do what we always do and put them out when it is nice. I'm going to go ahead and start by mixing up my soil. So when I'm doing seed starting, I like to do about half and half of a potting mix and a seed starting mix. And then I'll also just throw in a little bit extra plain perlite just to help it kind of absorb and retain moisture and even the moisture levels out. That seems to work really well for most of my seeds. I get a lot of germination and success later. So it used to be I would have a lot of seeds that would come up and then just die off and fizzle out. So part of that's that you need good lighting. The other part of that's that you need good soil. So you need to have soil that has both nutrients, but also is light enough weight-wise for those seeds to push through. So that's why I do half and half of the seed starting mix and the potting mix. And it seems like that works out pretty well for me. So I'm going to keep doing that until I find something different or it seems like it doesn't work out well. I've had success so far. I also like to wet it down. I don't want to do it dry. I like to have my soil nice and moist. So I'm going to add some water to this. It's not quite sticking together. I like it to where it really sticks together. It's not quite wet enough. It's still a little bit crumbly, but I don't want it to be able to actually squeeze water out. So I need a little bit more water, but I need to be careful not to go too far. Okay, now it's holding together really well without squeezing out water. So I think I like where that's at. Okay, I'm going to start in this first tray. This is going to be some flowers, kind of a variety. Some that I'm going to put in containers and some that I'm going to put and plant in a cut flower garden. This is 2 different varieties of kale, an ornamental kale. So there's Japanese flowering kale, and then I also have the hybrid cut flower kale. This is Crane Red. I think those are both beautiful varieties. Okay, I almost forgot. Before I get started, I'm going to write down what varieties I'm planting on the tags and get those ready to go before I stick the seeds in. I think it's a little bit easier that way. So remember when you're doing these, this bottom half is going to be down in your dirt. So you want to try and keep your writing to that top half or top third of your tag. It's just called garden marker, but it works great. I actually saw just the other day when I was out in the garden, some tags that I had done with this marker last garden season. So almost a year ago now, and they still look perfect. You can read them. The writing didn't wash off. We've had a little rain, a little snow. We've had a mild winter than usual, but it's still, those tags look amazing. And if I would have thought about it, I could have pulled them and reused them. That's how good they looked. So for whatever reason, this garden marker seems to work really well. And I like that. I just got off of Amazon, but it's been great. So let me write down a few of these here. Okay, so I've got all my labels done. I wanted to do some Lavender Lady Gomphrena in with this set, but when I got looking at the seed packet, I realized that these seeds need pre-soaked for 24 to 48 hours before planting, and I don't have any out and pre-soaking. So I'm going to get those pre-soaking today, but I'm not going to plant them with this set because I don't have them ready to go. So I'm going to hold off on those for today. Everything else, though, we will get going on. Okay, so the first one I'm going to put in here is hare's tail grass. So this is an ornamental grass, and so I actually got this grass because I wanted to use it as a bouquet filler in the cut flower garden. So I'm hoping it'll be part of the cut flower garden. These say 1/8 of an inch deep. So we're not going to go real deep here with these. Okay, next is the blue disc African daisy, a really fun variety. These love to be in the sun. So once they get established, I'm hoping to put these out in the front of my yard, which is south facing. And that way they're out in that sun all day, and I'm hoping they will just thrive in that sun. But these also say to plant 1/8 of an inch deep. Next is the tall blue planet hybrid ageratum. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but these I believe I also got for the cut flower. These are Just tiny little seeds. They come in extra little small baggies, similar to how the snapdragons that come that way seeds. These need light for germination, so they're just going to go right on top of the soil. So I'm actually going to put a little bit of soil on top of my grass and my daisies and get those covered in so that I don't accidentally put soil on top of the ageratum seeds. Now I'm going to have this whole set underneath the grow lights, so it won't really matter that these need light to germinate because they're going to get it either way, but so is everything else that's in here. And these seeds are just teeny tiny, and I'm just going to sprinkle them on top. That packet will go a long way because there's a lot of those tiny little seeds in there. Okay, the next section is the Oxford Blue Salvia. This is an annual salvia. There's both annual and perennial salvias. The perennial salvias tend to take over. They just expand and they go crazy. Less so in Wyoming because we have generally harsh winters, and so they don't go quite as crazy here, but that definitely can happen. So if you're planting perennial salvias, watch for that. Otherwise, if you just like the salvia, an annual is a way to go, especially if you're going to do it in a pot or something. I had my first annual salvia in a pot last year, and we had hummingbirds all summer long for the first time I've ever seen hummingbirds in my yard. So the salvia will bring in those hummingbirds. They love it. And so that was one of the main reasons I wanted to try and grow these from seed this year, because I love watching those hummingbirds. That was fun. So something to try. These also need light to germinate, which is why I stuck those last two seeds in the center of the tray, because they're going to be in the middle of the light. So my setup has two lights coming down. And so the ones on the very end get the least amount of light. And I always happen to plant my tomatoes there, and I probably should learn from that. But at any rate, they get least light out here on these edges, most light towards the middle. And so I'm putting these two that require light for germination in the middle two cells. So something to think about when you're laying these out. And these are, because they require light to germinate, we're going to, again, just stick them right on top. And it says to press them in, so I'm just going to gently press this whole cell down. Okay, the next thing I have is the Crane Red Kale. And this one wants to go down 1/4 of an inch. And so if you know anything about growing brassicas, kale, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, they are going to get huge. These may be not as huge because they're more ornamental kale, but they might get large. Just maybe 2 seeds in each. We'll see how that does. And then I'm going to top that off with a tiny bit of soil. These are seeds I got from the seed swap, not this year, but the year before. So I'm not sure how old these seeds are. So I'm actually going to put, I think I put about 4 in the hole, because I'm not really sure how well they're going to germinate, because I don't know how old this packet is. Okay, so I do like to put perlite over all of my seeds. I don't always do it, but especially ones where I have ones that need light to germinate, they're just sitting on the top of that soil. I do like to sprinkle some perlite on top. So I just take a little, sprinkle that on top, and I'm going to mist these in. And then I always start my seeds with a dome on top. And I try and leave that dome on as long as possible. So once they outgrow the dome, I'll take it off. Or if they start to get moldy in there and need some airflow, I'll take it off. But otherwise, I just try and leave that dome on for as long as I can. We're not very humid here. With this tray, we're going to start with Status, Pink Poker Status. So this I also got to go in the cut flower garden. So once again, very small seeds. And because they need that light to germinate, I'm just going to lay them right on top of the soil. Oh, and these are the smallest seeds yet. The cranberry rose straw flower I got to go in the cut garden. This one also needs light for germination. So I'm just rearranging my tags, trying to get them a little bit more towards the middle. Now these ones, I got the seeds were stuck up here in the glue, which I've never actually had that happen with this or any of these seed companies before. So usually that's not the case, but for some reason it is on these. So I'm just going to kind of try and shake them off. The toothache plant or bullseye plant, this is one I just got for fun. It has kind of yellow and red cone-shaped flowers, but actually if you chew on that flower, it'll numb your mouth. So I thought it'd be super fun to stick in the garden. As people come over and walk through the garden, you can say, hey, try this. So these ideally need light also. So I'm going to move that to the center. Just keep rearranging here. We've got two different types of violas that I wanted to try. I've never tried these before. I've seen them at the store. They're very cute and they do well in a little bit colder environments. So I thought maybe they would be good to try. But this would be an annual for us. You can actually eat these flowers. I've not done that either. So if you've done that, let me know. Cover seeds lightly. So I'm just going to scrape off just a tiny bit out of each of those cells so that I can add just a hair back in. Doesn't actually even give me a planting depth. So mostly I'm just going to stick them pretty close to the surface and add just a touch of soil back in. So this variety is the Power Plum Antique Hybrid Viola. And then my other variety is the Tricolor Viola. These ones do not say they require light to germinate. So that's why I've got them on the ends. Normally I like to stick the varieties together, but this one just had enough that needed light to germinate that I ended up moving these to the ends. Okay, so in tray 3, I'm going to start with the flat stacker pumpkins. These are so fun. If you see some of my fall videos, I think I've shown them. I can't remember, but these are like flat. I think these are, I can't remember if these are colored or not. I'll post a picture though. But these are flat and they're fun pumpkins to go on the bottom of your stack of pumpkins. And so every year for the last several years, I've made a stack of pumpkins somewhere, usually on my front porch, but usually I'll do one inside the front door also. They're just fun to have. And the flat stackers make for a nice big base that's flat. The other pumpkins can then sit on top of. So I really like having these. They do take 95 days to grow, which isn't as much as some of the other pumpkins you're going to see I'm planting. But it still seems like they do need some time to get established, especially if you want the bigger ones to go at the base of that tower. So I'm going to try starting these early to make sure we can get some nice sized ones. 1/2 to 1 inch deep. So which they're these trays, that's pretty deep, and that's actually okay. It does not take long because these grow fast and large. That I'm going to it won't be long before I'm going to have to replant these into probably a bigger cell or into a cup or something. They're large seeds, they're large plants, and they just grow fast. These are juice box watermelons. It looks like I did try to grow some of these last year and I didn't get any to germinate. It was not a good year for watermelons for us last year for whatever reason. I don't know. So I think I don't know that I started these in a seed tray though. I think I might have direct sown them outside. So maybe I'll have better luck starting them in a seed tray. This is actually a seedless watermelon. These seeds are a little older, so I'm gonna stick 2 in each cell. The Royal Golden Watermelon. So this one's probably going to confuse me because it's going to turn yellow when it's ripe. And that's probably going to confuse me when I'm out there. But I still thought it would be fun. It's supposed to have a delicious taste. So we'll see. 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep on the seed planting. I've never done these before either, so I'm going to stick 2 in a cell. But it's funny because these are a golden seed for a golden watermelon. So some of the watermelon seeds are golden like that, and then some are black, like the juice box ones I just did were a black, brownish colored seeds. So just different varieties. Okay, the Italian parsley, I have planted this one before. So these ones need to go, this is 1/4 of an inch. So they're not going super deep. Oof. I ended up with a lot of seeds in there, which is okay. This packet's older, so I may have to come back and thin that out. The pesto basil I got, this one's 1/4 of an inch deep also. Likes to be at least 70 degrees for germination, so I may stick a heat mat under these. Last one for this tray are these Margarita greenhouse cucumbers. So these were going about 1/2 inch deep. And again, these seeds are at least a year old, so I'm going to plant them too deep here. Okay, my last tray for today is going to be all pumpkins of different varieties. So the Musc de Provence is a really fun variety. but I think it's my longest time. It takes 125 days, which our growing season, I think if we're lucky, we get 120 days on a good year. Rarely do I have that many days that are actually warm enough for plants. We get cold at night most of the summer, so plants don't like that. This is a very large pumpkin, though, but they are fun to grow. So these pumpkins will also grow pretty fast, and so this tray will probably be the first one I'm going to have to repot into something bigger. The Jardal pumpkins, does look like I bought these last year. I can't remember if I had any of these last year or not. It's a very smooth pumpkin seed. Very interesting. The Blaze pumpkins, and these seeds, they look like they've been, I can't think of the word right now, but they spray something on them. It like helps protect the seed, but also makes the seed so it's less viable. So I'm actually going to double plant this one because that seed is older. I don't know if that's going to even come up because I can tell because it's blue. You can see them there. They're blue. They have that coating on them, which means they're good to plant the first year. You're fine, but trying to plant them in subsequent years, generally you're not going to have as much luck. The Igor pumpkin, this is a giant jack-o'-lantern style pumpkin, but it actually looks like they grow tall, and then they should have a nice face for carving. So I'm actually doing 2 of these plants, and these are new for me this year. The Moonshine pumpkin variety. These are also new for me this year. I've not tried these before. This one I'm probably going to butcher this name. Marina di Chioggia? Chioggia? Specialty pumpkin. Also new for me this year. Long Island cheese. And the Rouge Vif de Tempes. Butchering that one as well. French is not my cup of tea. These ones I planted last year. These are kind of a red colored pumpkin, and they add a lot of fun variety to your porch if you put pumpkins on your porch or in your house's decorations. Really fun variety. Their germination rate, though, is down at 90%, and these seeds are at least 2 years old, so I'm going to stick 2 in each cell, and hopefully at least one will grow. I'm debating on whether or not to do the perlite on these. I typically don't have any issues with pumpkins as far as that goes, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway since I got it here. I don't think pumpkins care. They're pretty easy going. Okay, so these are done. I'm going to get some of these gomphrena seeds soaking in some water so that I can plant those. These I will mist probably every day, or when the dome top looks dry. Usually that's about every day, though. And then once the plants start to come up, then I will take the domes off once they get too big for the dome. And at that point, I can usually start doing bottom watering. So this system has the tray with the water underneath and the mat that soaks the water up through there. And that works out really well once the seedlings start to get a little bit bigger. I'm also going to do a heat mat under these. None of these actually require it, so they probably would be fine without it. It does speed up germination rates, and because of my granite counters and snow coming in, I think our house is going to get cold, and I think these seeds will benefit from having the heat mat underneath. But with these ones, if you don't have a heat mat, that's okay. And I'm also going to have a grow light, as some of these do require grow light, not all of them, but it's okay to do grow lights on them anyway, especially once they start popping out. Then they need light on those little leaves. So I just do a heat mat and grow light pretty much on all my seeds. That makes it fairly simple, and I can just uniformly keep everything the same. So far that seems to work. But thanks, you guys, for watching. I'll try and update you in the next couple of weeks as these start coming up. We'll see how our germination rates do and how they're growing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.